Hey y'all. So I hope you guys are doing well, first and foremost. I always hope that you guys are doing good. That's my number one hope. Second of all, I noticed that the tone in my last video, like the one where I'm like, oh, I'm really proud of like having my own apartment, and like I was wearing a wig in that one. I don't know if you guys remember. But the tone of it was like really, really down and sad. And I was watching my videos from like a year, 2 years ago, and it was like, the energy was just like so different. And I'm thinking, what's wrong, you know? But the funny thing is like, I think I'm actually like, just take my word for it, guys. Just take my word for it, because like that was filmed at like the end of the day, so I was super exhausted. It was like after work and everything. So I think like as a whole, I'm definitely like happier now than I was in those past videos. And I think like videos from like a year or 2 years ago, I feel like I had to like make a point or something. I had to show like how happy I was, so I was like maybe super animated. Also, I think I just like had a lot of energy. So yeah, so in this, so that just kind of explains that, like, it's kind of what's going on. But in today's video, I wanted to talk about, I wanted to talk about some notes that I took when I'm at work. So basically, when I go to work, I get bored really easily. I'm a waitress, but sometimes like you just don't have tables, so you're just kind of hanging out. And I know some people are gonna be like, well, maybe you should clean or something, but sometimes things are clean and it's fine, you know? So basically, to keep my mind busy, I like to take notes or write down whatever I'm thinking about. Also, just because like it kind of helps get it out of my head and onto paper. That was another thing that when I was waitressing in the town that I previously lived in, she said, like, basically write down every single thing that you're stressed about. That way, yeah, exactly, it just gets it out of your mind onto paper. You don't have to like carry it around in your head, because that way you're not like taking it to tables. You have all your issues out of the way. So yeah, so that's kind of what I like to do now, just because it really helps me like de-stress. And also I just like don't like to forget things, so if I can think about a concept later, like there's all kinds of things that I want to write about, and I just like, I'll write the idea down and then like, oopsie, maybe I'll revisit it later, maybe I won't. But yeah, so these are, I kind of want to talk about like my notes from yesterday because I thought they were kind of interesting. So basically, the kind of general concept is when you're first learning or being introduced to a new skill or whatever it is, and just kind of like the right attitude to have behind it. So I don't know, I think a lot of like I said before, like a good part of whatever I do there, I feel like there's an intense sense of identity behind it. So I'll act a certain way because I believe people perceive me a certain way, or because I perceive myself a certain way, you know. And I think that all happens subconsciously, but I feel like I'm always very, very like overly aware of it. I'll just say it this way, like no one's ever told me like, I think you need to think more. They'll be like, I think you need to think before you speak, but they won't say like, I don't think you've overthought this enough, because like, I don't know. Basically, people are always like, I think you're overthinking it, or I think you're thinking about it too much, which I know is like not a super uncommon thing. But yeah, so basically, when it comes to me being trained in, sometimes I think people are thinking, oh, she's blonde, she's dumb, whatever. And sometimes it can be easier to adapt to that identity and just be like, yeah, maybe I'm blonde and dumb. Like maybe I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So I just feel like I'll just become like very, very disengaged. And I don't know, basically yesterday I was being trained into a new area of work. I normally like to work on the dining side. Yesterday I was working bar side, and that part, it's so much more uncomfortable to me to work bar side, because I feel like there's just so many sexist undertones working bar side. I don't know if you guys know what I mean, because like I haven't really been able to like put it into words or like pinpoint it exactly, but I feel like if I was gonna say what it was, that's what it is. Like like working bar side, like there's some girls that come to work and they just don't really care. Like they'll toss their hair up, they don't wear makeup, they're like, I don't give up, you know, like they just go into work, and that's like their appeal. That's why people like them, because they're like, oh, she doesn't care and she takes care of the table, you know. I'm always the person that likes to get all dressed up, get all super cute for work, and I think sometimes people can look at me and their first impression would be like, oof, this girl's trying way too hard, and I don't want to tip her or whatever, I don't know. And like a huge percentage of what I do is based on tips, so I feel like I kind of have to have like my persona mapped out beforehand, because if there's any hint of like, but maybe I'm not worth it, you know, then like that'll make them double think and double check. So yeah, so basically I was working bar side, and it just feels already like a little bit weirder. But I was getting trained on kind of like how to make some drinks, and I say how to make some drinks. Basically, I was putting in the tomato juice before the Bud Light, and they're like, wrong, 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 wrong. What are you doing? The tomato juice goes in afterwards. So if you guys are interested in that, apparently it goes in after. But yeah, like one of the girls that was training me in, she was like, okay, then I need you to grab that. She said it really nice. She was like, okay, and then grab that Miller 64, whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. And then like for some reason, just like the packaging was gonna look different in my mind. I was looking for like a darker bottle, a darker look. And so like my mind just totally like skipped over where it actually was. And she's like, it's right there, honey. And like, I don't know why. I just like assume that people think I'm dumb. So when stuff like that happens, it's like, dang it, like I'm proving their points, you know, like I'm making them believe that I am. And I don't know. It just, so these are my tips to kind of help with that. Okay, so, be intentional. So you may not know, you may not have the answers, but you do have the power to ask questions, which sounds kind of silly because it's like it's an undertone. It's like kind of like having to ask, like, oh no, I probably don't know what I'm doing. But like, okay, between the person that's like, oh, I don't know, like no one told me, so I just didn't. Gosh, would you rather work with that person or the person who's like, hey, so how do you do this? Okay, great, perfect. Like, who's taking the more initiative? Both of them are coming from a standpoint of not knowing, but one of them is way more like being a lot more intentional with what, like who would you rather work with? You know, like someone who's gonna make excuses for themselves, like nobody told me, or like the person that's gonna be, you know, on their shit. You know what I mean? So that was one of the first things. So be intentional. You may not know, but you have the power to ask questions. And then second of all, don't play dumb. I think sometimes, like I said, I feel people think I am. Therefore, I'm like, okay, guess I am. Like, I'm just going to be that person. I'm just going to pretend to be dumb. And I obviously, like, it's like I'm not dumb, but I think it's like becoming disengaged or just like choosing not to be as engaged in your work. So I wrote that down as well, like be engaged when learning something new. If someone's taking the time to like show you something, you best be paying attention, you know what I mean? Also like, this is another thing that I learned. Like, I don't know if it's because of how I like or just like who I am. But I think people basically do your due diligence. So like if I'm looking at something and it'd be easier for me to ask, but like I could probably figure it out on my own, figure it out on your own. Because like people have a lot more respect for you. They don't want to answer dumb questions, especially if they're like, you mean this one right here? Like basically do your work, do your due diligence, become a person that you respect, therefore like a person that they can respect. And ultimately you can't control what other people think of you. You can't make other people respect you. But if you become a respectable person, it's a lot easier for people to respect you. Yeah, like I think it's just kind of like law of attraction too. Like there's some things that you do, like there's some habits that will make people not like you. Like even if you're whatever, super this or super that, like if you do negative habits or negative character traits on a daily basis, like people will dislike you. Like those things catch up pretty quickly. So yeah, just like be aware. I think cover all your bases, try and be the best person so then people can actually like you, if that's your goal. I don't know. I feel like I'm always trying to earn people's approval, but ultimately it's like not about earning people's approval. It's about like being a person that you respect and you like, and then people can just fall in line wherever, you know, they land with that. So yeah. Oh, okay. So one of the things that I struggle with is I hate being told what to do, which sounds really terrible. I like being taught, I like being helped out, but I don't like someone telling me or like putting me in a box or kind of like putting me in my place or whatever. So one of the things that I tend to do is like act out negatively. I'm like, oh cool, you want me here, at 11? Awesome, I'm gonna be here at 11:04 just to prove that I can. So if you have that sense of, I wanna say rebellious spirit or whatever, you wanna like take control, you don't wanna be told what to do, by all means do that, but then do it in a positive way and not a negative way. So one thing that'll have negative repercussions is, yeah, showing up a little later. Sure, you're the boss of your own world, but also you made everything kind of more difficult for everyone else, and it's just a really selfish thing. So like if you want to be in charge, that's totally fine. Maybe be like, hey, you know what, they told me to be here at this time, I'm gonna be here 12 minutes early every day or whatever. I'm gonna be here 15 minutes early just because like I can, and I'm choosing to do that. So if like you have like a complex with that, like I do, like make sure to do it or act out in a positive way and not a negative way. So yeah, I would say that's a part of it too. Yeah, like you can choose, like you have the ability to kind of like decide your own fate, but just do it in a positive light, not a negative way. Oh, okay, yeah. And this is just like kind of like more of like a side little like serving hack. So sometimes I'll feel really weird walking up to tables. I'll just be like, can I, do you want any, never mind, you know, and I'll just like walk away. Not a good thing, not a great look. So I would just say, you know, walk over there with confidence, confidence in, confidence out. You are there to help them. It is your job. Like, just stop in. Do we need anything over here? All right, awesome, great, thanks. And then you can grab it confidently and leave. Like, you're not stepping on anyone's toes to do your job, basically. So yeah, don't be afraid to be confident, because it's kind of comes with the trade. People will, that's way more respectable than just like, I don't know, she like came over, stumbled and walked away. It was kind of weird. Like, that can happen too. And okay, this is gonna sound kind of negative, but sometimes people are like, you know, don't worry about the mistakes that you've made. Don't worry about being weird, because like no one is thinking about you. But like, you know, when you're at work, like everyone kind of has something to say about everyone. So I think once again, just be aware, do your due diligence, and then ultimately, like, if you're a person that you like and you respect at the end of the day, then like, it's okay. Say lovey. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was my advice. Those are some of the notes that I took. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, this random little video. Oh, I'm wearing a coat because sometimes it just feels good to be held, you know? So yeah, there's that. Also, I got Starbucks. I feel like a little kid. I'm like, look at my drink. But yeah, so this is like probably one of the best drinks that you can get at Starbucks. It's like under $5 and you can get it in a tall. A girl told me about it and I'm obsessed with it. So basically, it's a venti sweet cream cold brew, and it'll come out to $4.57. And you can even get extra sweet cream, and you can even get extra 7. You can even get extra like vanilla in there, and it will still show up under $5. So if you guys are interested, it's an amazing, really, I mean, it's still $5, but like relatively cheap drink. And it's very good. So thanks guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something. And there's that. All right, cool.